if you don't have confidence and you're out there hoping to get outs, you're not going to get outs. It's like hoping to hit or hoping to get a date with a pretty girl or hoping you win the lottery. You know, you got to do some things that are going to put you in position to make that happen. In case of lottery, you got to buy a ticket, right? So our guys have the stuff to do it, and they've got histories to point to where they've done it, and they've got to take things personally.
I love Clint Hurdle's metaphors. Right now, his Rocky pitching staff is performing in a subpar mode. There's no other way to spell it.
Well, and people got to realize one thing, that early in the season, 2/5 of that pitching staff gone, and you're talking about Denny Stark, who went 8-1 in this ballpark. And then Denny Nagel, who pitched very well.
Good stop by Steins, and he'll throw out McEwen.
Yeah, how about the National League leader at third base? There was so many questions surrounding third base when Steins was in spring training, and people said he's never had an opportunity. Well, he's had it now, and he's performed very well. Just one error on the year for Chris Steins, and mentioned earlier, that leads the National League third baseman.
And he's getting to baseballs, George. I mean, this isn't a guy that's just fielding the ball when it's hit right at him. I mean, he has really moved well, both to his left and right. You know, there's some guys who play third base, and they get in the hole a little bit better than they get down the line with the backhand, but Steins has got both ways pretty well. Glavine doubled his first time up, hit it over Jay Payton's head. Now he's ahead 2-0.
I think part of Steins' mentality, that's like 80% of his game. He's just a tough bulldog guy down at third base, not going to let the ball get by him, much like a hockey goalie, a catcher in the game of baseball.
Butler, convenience store hop, throws out Glavine, 2 gone.
Well, it'll give me an opportunity to tell all the kids come out to the ball game on May 25th when the Rockies take on the Giants. Receive a visor courtesy of King Soopers. That action an afternoon start at 1:05. Tickets available Coors Field. Ticket office, the Rockies dugout in King Soopers, 1-800-388-ROCK. Or just go online with the ColoradoRockies.com.
Well, Roberto Alomar, 2 for 2 in the game, a single and a double. His double his last time up drove in Tom Glavine. 6-0 Mets. They've out-hit the Rockies 6-2. Third straight ball game that Sean Chacon has struggled after as good an April as you could have.
Well, you mentioned earlier Alomar being moved to the leadoff spot as a leadoff hitter, 230 this year, and a 2-hole hitting 317, a much better number. You think part of that, Drew, is the fact that it allows him to hit and run? The defense opens up. It allows Art Howe to do a few things with him when he's in the 2-hole.
I think he'll hit in the 1-hole also. I mean, he's too good a hitter not. I mean, you don't play 10+ years in this league and hit over 300 by accident. He'll figure it out, whatever role he's given, and it looks like he's entrenched right now in the leadoff spot.
Well, what I like, look at this little short stance right here. Not a lot of distance, lays the bat here and just sweeps it through the zone. And that's, you know, you listen to guys like Charlie Lyle. I mean, talk to Clint Hurdle, and he'll tell you what Charlie Lyle talks so much about. It's just having a quiet bat, getting it on the plane, much like you golfers. You hear guys talk about getting the club on the plane. That's exactly what he's doing with the bat. It's right up here, and then he just sweeps.
Like that. 3 for 3. Sweeps, or in baseball circles, rakes. So with 2 gone, Alomar at first.
Yeah, ball hit hard, but Chacon trying to give himself every opportunity to limit any more damage. This ball hit right back up the middle, tried to backhand it.
It's just as well he did not. That might have caught the arm. He really would have had a problem. Cedeno takes ball 1.
69 pitches in the ball game, and the last pitch registered in the ballpark at 90 miles an hour.
Robbie Alomar at first used to be a big base stealing threat. Stole just 16 last year. I say just, that's still a solid number, but in years past he would be a 30+ guy.
Good inning for Chacon.
Yep. Butler handles it and saved the base hit by Robbie Alomar. Everything went Chacon's way. Rockies need to get the lumber going. Good morning.
Oh, Paradise Pancakes.
All right. At IHOP.
Introducing Paradise Pancakes. Try South Pacific, banana split, and even banana macadamia nut. Served with all your favorites. They're delicious stacks of paradise. IHOP. Come hungry, leave happy.
We found Avalanche goaltender Patrick Waugh, and he talked to us about his future. Tonight on the Rocky Mountain Sports Report, Waugh says this.
L'avenir va me dire.
We'll translate, and with 5 big reasons will convince the NHL legend to stay in Colorado's crease. Also, part 2 of our conversation with the man in control of the Broncos' future, Plummer talks about the Elway issue. It's all on the Rocky Mountain Sports Report tonight after the game.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. The nightly show that brings you inside the world of extreme sports.
The best damn sports show, period. Tonight on Fox Sports Net.
We go to the bottom of the 4th inning with George Frazier. I'm Drew Goodman, 6-0 New York. A reminder, it's time to email the booth. Submit your questions to myself and George, and the way to do it is go to foxsports.com on Lycos. The keywords, Rockies booth. Pretty simple. We'll try to get to as many of your questions tonight as we can. Larry Walker against Tom Glavine, who came up with runners at first and third in the first and rolled the ground ball at Robbie Alomar.
Now you watch Glavine right now, Drew, and I saw him do it with Helton. He's doing it with Walker, and he did it with Preston Wilson. 3, 4, 5 hitters for the Rockies, near 100 RBIs, and in that category, 3, 4, and 5. They've driven in more runs than anybody else in baseball. And what he's doing, it's slow, slower, slower, fast, and then all the way back slow again. He's not going fast, hard, fast, fast, slow. He's not changing directions. What he's doing is just keeps backing off, farther, farther, and farther. And that last pitch, I mean, it was 83 miles an hour, and it registered much higher. I mean, he's just not giving them the fastball that he had in recent years to have a good, healthy swing on.
And he's disciplined enough and obviously smart enough, one of the brightest guys in the game, to handle a 6-run lead. Some guys don't handle when they're handed a big lead early.
I'll give you a great example. Kurt Schilling last year in September, he was trying to win his 23rd ball game. We handed a 6-run lead left in the 6th with the score tied 6-6 in this ballpark. And he's one of the best in the business. He just will not give in. Well, we got a first email from Tiffany in Telluride, Colorado. Whatever happened to Reggie Jackson and his candy bar? Well, the candy bar's gone. The Reggie bar is no longer in existence in New York or anywhere else. You can't find the Reggie Jackson bar. And Reggie Jackson still works for the New York Yankees as a special assistant to George Steinbrenner. And then he does personal appearances throughout the United States for different corporations. Reggie's still very much a part of baseball. And we appreciate that, Tiffany from Telluride, Colorado.
You ever been to Telluride, George?
Uh-huh.
Pretty nice town.
Pretty nice place.
Rolled toward the hole and on through. So Hernandez has another base hit. He's 2 for 2. Rockies have 3 hits, all singles. Again, the Rocky Mountain Sports Report comes your way later on tonight. Some of the stories they'll be following. Fox Focus, Jake Plummer again. Waugh should stay. They've been talking a lot about Patrick Waugh. And Don Baylor bouncing back. Good to see the man they call Groove. He's one of the, and George, you can attest to this as well as anyone, one of the toughest people to to ever play this game. And I don't mean that just in the physical sense. I mean it mentally as well.
Well, what people don't realize, Don, at DH, probably 99% of his career, that he led by such tremendous example, and he didn't play every day. He was in the lineup swinging a bat, but he wasn't in a uniform or wasn't in a position in the field. It made a difference.
Tonight on the best damn sports show, period.
Is Leanne the real secret of the Matrix? Plus, closer John Smoltz with the real special effects. And Yankee legend, Mr. Paul O'Neill.
Tonight at 11.
Think it's impossible to paint plastic? Think again. Introducing Krylon Fusion, the revolutionary paint that actually bonds to plastic on a molecular level. Without any sanding or priming, its unique formula provides a smooth, professional finish that won't flake off. Krylon Fusion, the no-prep super bond paint for plastic.
Do you know you are 1 year old today?
First birthday.
Goodness, happy birthday, sweetheart. Oh, that's good.
Let's open the present.
Okay, you want to go open the present? Let's see what we got here. Oh, what's in that box, Daddy? Oh, my goodness.
You got a big screen TV.
Where can you get top brands like Hitachi? Where can you get great credit options? Where can you get Price Match Plus? Sears. Where else?
The Chrysler Pacifica. Luxury seats with supplemental side curtain airbags in all 3 rows. Perfect 5-star crash ratings from the U.S. government. All-wheel drive and the thrill of something totally new. Chrysler Pacifica.
Strike one to Mike Piazza in a 6-0 game. New York leads. We're at the top of the 5th. Chacon gave up 3 in the first, 3 more in the second. 2 came around on a Piazza 2-run home run, and he's got another one. Make it 7-0 Mets. Piazza with his 6th home run. His average when he arrived in Colorado was in the 290s. If he keeps this up, he's going to be close to 400 by the time he leaves.
He has been hot. 3 line drive singles last night, a couple of home runs tonight for Mike Piazza. And this again, look at his head, where it is on that swing. Watch his head, folks, when he swings his bat. He is right on the baseball. Tremendous strength.
The huge story in New York last week was that Mike Piazza was going to start taking ground balls at first, and before both of these ball games during batting practice he has taken ground balls at first. What made it somewhat controversial is this is ripped down the right field line and foul.
What made it controversial is New York.
Well, that in itself makes it controversial, obviously, but they hadn't. Steve Phillips had not evidently informed Mike Piazza before he told the media that that was part of the game plan. And Piazza, who one day will be in the Hall of Fame as a catcher, was not pleased. And one of the things that's important to him is that he sets the all-time record for home runs by a catcher.
First of all, you know, one thing for me, Drew, is that, and we're going to show you the list Drew's just talking about with catchers, and where he stands and what he has been able to accomplish. Soon to pass Carter, Fisk, he will. And ways to go to get Johnny Bench.
Well, he's past Johnny Bench.
Right, and get through all these guys. I'm reading backwards here, but get through these guys. And he is where he is now, Drew. And I think what bothered me about that, or would bother me, you know, is going to be the fact that the general manager is making that sense and doing it. Piazza, the all-time leader as a catcher. I was looking at that backwards. He's past Bench. He's past Yogi. He's at the top of the list. I'm not sure what he has left to accomplish.
Yeah, the graphic, what it didn't show you is this ball's hit a long way by Timo Perez. Jay Payton will get there. Is that some of Johnny Bench's home runs were not as a catcher.
Right. But let's go back to this deal. The big controversy, or if you want to call it that, it was because Steve Phillips had not talked to him. Phillips and the manager. I think it's a situation where Art Howe and he will get together and sit down and say, Mike, look, what do you think? We give you some off days, we send you over to first. I think the hardest position, Drew, and you might disagree with this, but I believe it fully. The hardest position for a guy to make a transition to is first base. It is.
I couldn't agree more. George, I know where you're going with this. Forget knowing that you have to step on the bag, catch the throws from the infield. That's the easy part. How about all the cutoffs?
Well,
and it's got to be second nature.
But wait a second. Cutoffs, defense on the bump plays. Where do I go on the bump plays? Where do I go on turning footwork on turning a double play? Footwork on a ball, and you say catching a ball from an infielder, but you've got to be able to rotate and go side to side to make that catch. And it may be on left side, right side, and you got to be able. And I don't think Mike Piazza wants to go there until he has 20, 25 games in spring training.
Exactly.
To get comfortable so he doesn't embarrass himself at first base.
Exactly. George, that's a great point as Tony Clark fouls it back. Don Baylor was addressing that before the ball game. He said, you know, I'd really be surprised if Piazza plays any first base before spring training next year. And he may take ground balls there for the next 3 or 4 months. But that is not an easy position to go and play. And you know, the casual baseball observer always says, well, if a guy slows down, his knees go, and he's still got a good bat, throw him at first base.
You know, how many guys went over there that happened to? Not many. Not many at all.
The 0-2 on Clark. Now it's deflected by Chacon. Butler will make the play at first. Pretty nice play by Brent Butler. Another run for the Mets. Another home run for Mike Piazza. And another no-doubter off of Piazza's bat. 7-0 Mets.
And now the toughest leg of the strongman competition, Norm. The Bud Light Industrial Bridge Pull.
Jim, that's 1,000 pounds of pure hernia that they'll try to drag across.
Sorry to interrupt, Norm, but it looks like a fan from the stands has stolen the Bud Light. Oh! A huge hit from out of nowhere. And this guy's got the foot speed to take this thing all the way. Oh, man!
Coming, bro!
With a great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down.
Okay, who's the hero?
Make it a Bud Light.
Satisfy all your cravings with Taco Bell's Cheesy Gordita Crunch.
Mmm, crunchy.
Warm, pillowy flatbread.
Mmm, chewy.
Covered in 3 melted cheeses.
Cheesy.
All wrapped around a crunchy taco and topped with a zesty pepper jack sauce. Empty. To get the Cheesy Gordita Crunch, think outside the bun.
Last year, 354 people died in Colorado because they weren't wearing seatbelts. People just like you.
We don't like writing tickets, but we would rather write 100 tickets than pull one more teenager or baby or mom or dad from a wreck.
We're working overtime to enforce the law because we want to save lives.
It only takes a couple of seconds to buckle up, so remember, click it or ticket.
Click it or ticket. Click it or ticket.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The only show that takes you inside the world of extreme sports each and every weeknight. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Tonight on Fox Sports Net.
You know, Mike Piazza has been a big part of the story tonight for the Mets in their 7-0 lead. He's hit a 2-run home run and a solo home run. First home run went to right center, and then his next home run to left center. Brent Butler with a leadoff single off of Tom Glavine. Just the 4th hit the Rockies have mustered against Glavine, all singles. And the night for Sean Chacon is now officially done, as Ronnie Belliard will pinch hit.
Chacon gives up 9 hits, 7 runs in the ball game, and of course you go back to that first inning when he walked 3 consecutive batters before the triple by Wigington. You could tell early it was not going to be Sean Chacon's night. It just didn't look comfortable on the hill.
Nelson Cruz, who's been moved to the bullpen, he has some shoulder stiffness the last 3 starts, evidently. He's okay enough to pitching a game right now.
Well, you look back, Chacon giving a notification that his night was over with. Not a happy guy because he has pitched so well here in this ballpark. He pitched well through the year, and he wanted to get off that snide that he'd been on, and he will.
Belliard with a single to right. Butler stops at second. Sean did the smart thing. He used his left forearm with the forearm shiver on the Gatorade. 100 years of Harley-Davidson, brought to you by Rocky Mountain Harley-Davidson out in Littleton on County Line Road. 1993, Harley's 90th anniversary. 100,000 people ride in a parade of motorcycles. And in baseball, George Brett hits his 300th career home run. And the ball's picked up by a fan on a Veterans Hospital outing who happens to be blind. Nice story. See if the Rockies can start their chipping away process here in the 5th after being shut out in the first 4 innings. They've had minor traffic.
Glavin's always been able to.
bases.
Glavin's been able to handle it. The double play in the 4th inning. That was his first. Chacon had 2 double plays while he was on the hill.
What they need is T-Rex traffic. Stein's out of that wide open stance, and there's a pitch on the inside corner, and it's 0-2 on Chris.
Hey, you try to always figure it out, get top of that order to get something going. Well, now you've got back-to-back base hits. You're going to have an opportunity to get some things going and chip away at that 7-0 lead. But Glavin, very tough in this ballpark. We've mentioned it, 2 complete game shutout.
This is tailor-made for 2. McEwing on to first, and another double play. Induced by Tom Glavin. It's their second tonight. Butler to third with 2 gone.
Glavin just 65 pitches in the ball game, 42 of those for strikes. We mentioned earlier, Drew, in talking about Nelson Cruz, what would happen. Usually stiff. Can he handle it? He threw on the side the other day to give an indication to this ball club that he could handle it. Well, he's been warming up down in the bullpen. Looks as if he'll be the guy to come in. And with Denny Nagel making his comments in the newspaper the other day that he needed at least 1, maybe 2 more starts before he'd be ready to go. Kind of opens the window up for Jason Young to get an additional start. Could be at Dodger Stadium. An off day on Monday.
I don't know if it's cause for alarm. That might be too strong a statement, but Denny Nagel admitted to feeling a little bit of, I don't know if numbness is the right term, or irritation in the elbow area in his last outing, which was a good outing at AAA Colorado Springs.
Yeah, able to pitch through it, but the one thing you don't want to do is send a player off of your roster down to AAA or make a trade or put somebody on the DL, open a roster spot up, in other words, and then after 1 start, all of a sudden you have a blowout again.
Here's the 1-2 to Peyton. And Jay scorches it, but it's fouled by a couple of yards.
Hey, we got another email from Chris Berg in Swink, Colorado. Basic dimensions of the strike zone. And really, Chris, it's they say the letters to the knees. But that doesn't hold true very often. You'd be talking about a strike zone that would come across and start right here. You don't see very many strikes called at the letters. The other side of that, the plate's 18 inches wide, Chris. So the strike zone, there's your box.
Well, the National League really used to be called from slightly below the knees to the belt, but that's gone because now umpires work both leagues.
Well, the strike, yeah, but you know what, Drew? That's a strike, and that's what irritates a lot of pitchers because I think that is one of the reasons why you have longer games, because they don't call the low strike anymore. You're not taught to throw a ball mid-thigh. You're taught to throw the ball down on the ground. I mean, down around the knee area, so you do get the ground ball out. Otherwise, Piazza wouldn't give his sign on the knees. Second 3-ball count in the game for Glavin.
Rockies got the first 2 men aboard, but they could not produce a run. 7-0, New York.
Whether it's your dream yard or your first yard, if you do it yourself or have someone else do it. More people buy mowers and tractors from Sears than anywhere else in America. We sell Craftsman, America's #1 mower and tractor brand, and from our wide selection, we'll find what's right for you. The right brands, selection, service. Right now, get 0% financing on all tractors until November 2003. Sears. Good life, great price.
Come on, man. Take that step. Take that step. You want to compete again? Huh? You still a downhill champ? Or show me. Show me what you're made of. Helton always crushes their pitcher. Little help here. Little help.
We found Avalanche goaltender Patrick Waugh, and he talked to us about his future. Tonight on the Rocky Mountain Sports Report, Waugh says this. We'll translate, and with 5 big reasons will convince the NHL legend to stay in Colorado's crease. Also, part 2 of our conversation with the man in control of the Broncos' future, Plummer talks about the Elway issue. It's all on the Rocky Mountain Sports Report tonight after the game.
The best damn sports show, period. Tonight on Fox Sports Net.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Colorado Rockies Baseball Club. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent. Rockies trailing 7-0. They've made a couple of changes, actually a double switch. Brett Butler moves over to third. Belliard, who pinch hit, will stay in the game. He'll bat in the 9 hole and play second base. Steins is out of the game, so the pitcher spot is now the leadoff spot that was formerly occupied by Chris Steins. And Nelson Cruz making his first appearance this year out of the bullpen, and this is actually a little more familiar for him than the starting rotation. But he showed in April that he could be a starter.
Oh, absolutely he did. He jumped out 3-0, then all of a sudden things started to go backwards on the Wheel of Fortunes, and he's 3-3 now. But this is the area he has worked in the Houston Astros bullpen. Was in long relief. Situations when your ball club's down 7-0. It's not a glory role, trust me. It's not a role everybody's standing in line for, but it's a valuable role to a ball club.
Cruz was very upset last year pitching in Houston, wanted more of an opportunity to pitch. Actually wanted to start some games. He was thankful to be moved from Houston, but his attitude much different in being sent back to the bullpen this time. He said, hey, I wanted to prove a point. I wanted to help the club first and foremost. I wanted to prove a point that I could start.
Yeah, but it's something he does in winter ball. So many of these guys that work long relief here, they go back to winter ball and they start in winter ball. And that's where he's shown people that he could start. He just has not been given that opportunity when he came over here to pitch in a big league level. Drew, you know when you're working at home, getting prepared for the ball game, and you're reading the papers and you're making your notes and making sure you don't forget anything, and then Jacob comes up and starts bothering you?
He never bothers
me. And you say, yeah, he does. Comes up, bothers you, and then you say, hey, Jacob, go downstairs, play with the toys. I'll be there in a minute. Well, here's one of those emails that we're going to give Doug so he can go play with his toys. He'll be back in like 3 days.
Here's Butler.
Ground ball. Chris from Frederick. Doug, I want you to look this up for me. And I would expect to have it with, by, let's see, Saturday's telecast. How many players have played at Mile High and Coors Field with the Rockies and as a visitor? Chris, we're good.
We got enough.
Bye, Doug. We'll see you on Saturday or Sunday. That's going to be a tough one.
Yeah. Tom Glavin a double in 2 trips.
By the way, did Jacob have a nice birthday yesterday?
He did. Turned 5. Had a great one. He was excited. He's allowed to chew bubble gum now.
I know, you told me the story. That's great. Great story, folks. I mean, all of us have done this to our kids. Every one of us. Can I have that? Nope, not till you're 5. Right. Can I do this? Nope, not till you're 6. Can I do this? Nope, not till you got to be 5. I'm telling you. Well, he turned 5. Dad, where's the gum?
Yeah, we've extended some things. There's some things he can't do until he's 35. Yep, he had a great day.
Well, I'm sure Dad had some fun too.
You bet. Here's the 0-2 from Cruz, and he moves Glavine off the plate. 1 ball and 2 strikes. What's the makeup of Tom Glavine, other than he's outstanding, that allows him to pitch in this ballpark as a visitor without fear?
Focus. Strike 1. Not afraid to throw the pitch into the zone and trust his stuff. I think that's the key to Glavine's success here, is just trust his stuff. And he really relies on his defense. It's not a coincidence a year ago that he and Maddox both struggled a little bit, and the defense started playing very well in Atlanta. Called it shortstop. And of course, Lockhart was playing a lot of second base there at that time because DeRosa got hurt. But the defense picked up a lot of ground ball outs. He and Maddox get a lot of ground ball outs. So when the defense picked up, he was very good. Well, the defense has been good here tonight, catching a lot of ground ball outs. You don't see a lot of fly balls from Glavine. And he just trusts his stuff. I think he focuses so well within the strike zone. I mean, he doesn't see anything outside of that, outside of Mike Piazza. That's all his focus behind the plate. Sounds pretty easy. It's not that easy. Sure, here's one for you. You can answer. Chris from Parker, Colorado. Where's Terry Shumpert? And is he still in baseball? And at what level is he at? Terry Shumpert, where is he and what level he's playing at? You know the answer. As a matter of fact, you called him on opening night.
You know what? Terry Shumpert, who's one of our favorite people, George, just a terrific person, great family. And Terry's in Tampa Bay, playing for the Devil Rays. He's hit a couple of home runs, I know that, but he hit one, a pinch home run opening day, and we gave him a call. We were down in Houston, congratulated him. Shump, the spot starter down there. And it looks like the Rockies are going to get Alomar for the first time tonight. Nice job by Nelson Cruz. He works a 1-2-3 inning in the 6th. The Rockies trail, however, by 7.
Hey, Rick, is that you? Jim? Hey! Looks like you're on your way to work.
Yeah, Subway.
The one right up at the next stop?
That's the one.
Hey, anything new at Subway?
Well, it's funny you should ask.
Introducing Subway's new turkey bacon guacamole sub. Succulent turkey, hearty bacon, and creamy guacamole all piled high on our fresh baked bread.
We're getting good at this.
Subway, fresh!
There's something happening at Checker Auto Parts. New items at great prices. We're stocking up like never before with tools, automotive chemicals, the accessories you want, and the parts you need. And if you find it lower somewhere else, Checker will beat their price by 5%. Guaranteed. Checker, the power of the star. Get a case of Haviland motor oil for only 69 cents a quart after rebate with coupon and this 400-watt power inverter for just $29.99.
Have you ever spent like 5 minutes with him? He's totally self-centered and insensitive. We just don't go together. I mean, she's my best friend. She has these emotional needs he can't meet. Remember what she went through with Brad? It's just like awful. He's so rude.
And it's a deep drive to center. Rodriguez makes the catch. It looks like they're going to send the runner. Here comes the throw. He's safe. He's safe. The winning run is now on third.
You're such a great listener. Thanks.
The Cubs take on Edmonds and the Cardinals. Fox Saturday Baseball returns this week.
Back with George Frazier, I'm Drew Goodman. The Rockies needed a stopper tonight. Sean Chacon, unfortunately, for the 3rd straight appearance, struggles.
Well, he struggled with the strike zone. I think that's been the key for him. I mean, he walked 3 guys, and then you give up the triple to Wigington. That was the biggest base hit, but it all started with the walks, and he knows that. Tonight had difficulty getting any of the pitches early in the ball game. in for strikes. Then he gives up 3 runs in the second and throws up 3 pretty good innings for Chacon. And you learn from mistakes and you build off of those mistakes, and I think with Sean Chacon, he'll do just that. This is the first time adversity has hit Chacon this season.
This ball, a bit of a tweener, and Todd Helton is going to go to second. And that is the Rockies' first extra base hit against Glavine. They have not been able to bunch hits tonight. On one occasion, they had back-to-back hits. That was last inning when Butler and Belliard produced back-to-back singles.
And you watched Helton come out of the box, Drew. When he hit this ball, he's thinking single, and that mind frame changed in a hurry. That's slider, and he's thinking about maybe even 3 on this if the ball could have scooted beyond. But you can see that Cedeno gets there, makes a play on the baseball, and gets it back to the infield.
Wilson walked his first time up. His last time up, he hit a fly ball about 415 feet straight away. Let's check our Woodley's Furniture League leaders. Slugging percentage, Carl Everett, the one-time Met. Preston Wilson, the one-time Met. 1 and 2 in baseball. There's Barry Bonds just having a horrendous year in the 5th spot.
Five flyouts tonight for Glavine. I only think a couple of deep balls. Preston Wilson hit one back in the 3rd to dead center. A couple of strikeouts, 6 groundouts.
And a couple of double plays behind him. Glavine fans Wilson.
I tell you, he does such a tremendous job of just changing speeds, but he changes from 82, 80, 77, and all of a sudden 78 miles an hour. And once again, it's just he's not going to give you the pitch to try to drive the baseball. And scouts in the stands shake their head and they go, okay, was that a sinker, or was that the changeup? I mean, tough to depict off of Glavine just because he doesn't really throw the ball ever that hard. I mean, 86 might be tops.
I remember 1 or 2 pitches at 88 tonight, and that's it. I mean, he works in the low to mid 80s.
Comfortably.
Further evidence that the gun doesn't mean everything.
Well, where the gun is useful in certain ways is, if you're out scouting a guy, you're thinking about making a trade for him. You want to see velocity out of him to make sure he's healthy. And if you have a reading from a year earlier at 94, 95, and you go out and put the gun on him a year later and he's 87, 88, well, there's a reason he's trade market all of a sudden. Maybe he's damaged goods. Something's happened to the arm, lost the fastball.
Well, if you're just pumping away and not changing speeds, hitters will tell you, you have to be basically 95 and above, 94, 95 and above, where it really is a situation where you can just rear back and flat throw it by a lot of people.
You got to have location. That's the biggest key to it all. If you can locate your fastball, you'll win at the big league level.
3-0 on Walker. And on 4 pitches, Larry is aboard. First and second for Hernandez, who's 2 for 2.
Now, very quickly, let me tell you that our neighbors to the north, the Montreal Expos, are visiting Coors Field for a long weekend series, May 15th through the 18th. For this series only, fans can enjoy what they're calling the Expo Promo Discount. You can get $2.50 per ticket when you order your tickets by phone, 1-800-388-ROCK. But you have to mention this is the Montreal Expo ticket promotion to receive this discount. 303 Rockies, and ask for the Expo discount.
By the way, did you see who's coming to town Saturday? I want to get out to the ballpark Saturday. Cal Ripken is going to be in Denver on business, and he will throw out the first pitch of the ball game on Saturday. So a chance to see the great Cal Ripken. Helton doubled. He's at second. Walker drew a base on balls. 3 walks issued by Tom Glavine in the game. He is throwing another shutout. He has done it twice before at Coors Field as a member of the Braves.
Yeah, the double play ball, it's been his friend when he has gotten into jams. And Hernandez has loved this ballpark in the year 2003, a .359 average.
Jose without an extra base hit since April 30th, however.
Yeah, a couple of singles so far in this ball game. 16 RBIs, just 3 home runs out of those 41 hits.
And he's called out on the inside corner for the second out.
Yeah, well, look where the first 4 pitches were. Away, away, away in the strike zone. Not anywhere near it on the middle half in at all. And then that last pitch at those late cutter on the inside half.
Well, the Boys of Summer return to Fox on Saturday, the season premiere of Fox Saturday Baseball. Then 17 more weeks after this week, all the way up to the 2003 World Series. Major League Baseball on Fox. Fox's opening day Saturday. And you'll see these Mets take on the Giants. That's off the corner, a ball to Charles Johnson. He struck out in the second, bounced into a 6-4-3 double play in the fourth. Helton's been standing at second base. He led the inning off with a double. Walker's at first. Behind CJ, 3-0. Popped up right center field. Timo Perez will gather it in, and the Rockies leave 2 more on base. They have left 7 on in the ball game.
So, having a good time? What's the matter, baby?
Our customers expect a website that delivers instant results, like Progressive.com. Buy car insurance instantly from the site rated #1 7 times in a row. Visit Progressive.com.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The entire world of extreme sports all in one place. Oh, he caught big air!
This just in from Park City, Utah. Pipe mammoth, the North Shore.
Tricks are getting gnarlier and gnarlier.
Sean White is ripping it up on the rails.
He's the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Kelly Slater. Tony Hawk showing up. Don't try any of that stuff at home.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Tonight on Fox Sports Net.
We found Avalanche goaltender Patrick Waugh, and he talked to us about his future. Tonight on the Rocky Mountain Sports Report, Waugh says this. We'll translate. And with 5 big reasons, we'll convince the NHL legend to stay in Colorado's crease. Also, part 2 of our conversation with the man in control of the Broncos' future, Plummer talks about the Elway issue. It's all on the Rocky Mountain Sports Report tonight after the game.
the best damn sports show, period. Tonight on Fox Sports Net.
Second inning of work for Nelson Cruz. He pitched a spotless 6th inning. It's time to check our blast from the past. New series we're doing this year. How about Pedro Estacio? Petey throwing for the New York Mets and throwing pretty effectively. It's a high ERA. He had one blow-up start, which inflated his ERA. He was a little banged up earlier this year, but Pedro Estacio, I think right now, George, if you said who's the best starting pitcher in the history of this franchise through 11 seasons, I think you'd have to say Pedro Estacio.
53 and 48 in a Rockies uniform. So it tells you how good Estacio had pitched here. And continued on. They made the trade where he went on to the Houston Astros and had an inflamed shoulder. Matter of fact, a lot of people talked about it. He may have to have surgery on his shoulder. And he rehabbed it, worked it, rested it through the winter in the Dominican Republic, came back, and has pitched pretty effective since then. I remember a ball game he pitched here that I thought Jim Leland may have left him out a little long, but he went 174 pitches, or 154 pitches in the ball game, 154. And the last pitch was 94 miles an hour. And he beat the Dodgers 10-6.
You know, he had a lot of bulldog in him. You couldn't get him off the hill.
Well, they called him the Mule. He liked to pack the whole load. And he was one of those guys that did not want to come out of ball games.
No, he wanted to be around late.
Deep into the count.
And by the way, Pedro Estacio on Sunday won for the Mets. It was his 300th career start, and that's 18th among active pitchers, those 300 starts for Estacio. Again, nice change of speed to Roger Cedeno from Nelson Cruz. He'll double up on the changeup. Not too many pitchers do that.
You watched one all night tonight. Glavine does it.
He obviously is numero uno. His guys coming out of the bullpen. Guy who likes to do that. There's another changeup, 3 in a row. Trevor Hoffman, who's hurt, was San Diego, but we've seen Hoffman in the 9th inning. So unusual. They'll go 3 or 4 straight changeups.
He's not the first closer in baseball to do that. His changeup dives out of the strike zone so hard. And one other guy that did it also, Bruce Sutter, lived on the football for a number of years.
And this ball will take a hop and go over the wall, so Cedeno has a ground rule double leading off the 7th. And guess who's coming to the plate? Mike Piazza. His last 2 swings, the baseball has traveled very far. Home run to right center with a man aboard and a solo shot about 30 rows back in left center his last time up. Got the average to 324.
Now just 102 at bats for Mike Piazza on the year, but as he jumped it in May from April, 303 in April, 375 for the month of May.
A lot of games this year. Suspensions, injuries. Had a mole removed, missed 3 ball games from his chest area and had stitches. This ball fouled off.
Yeah, you look at those home runs he hit tonight, Drew. You mentioned it when he hit the one to right field. Power throughout this entire ballpark. And I mean, this is Mike Piazza and the strength that he has at the plate. These 2 home runs off Chacon, one to right, and now this one, a fastball down and in. But he actually crowds the plate for the length and size of Piazza and his arms, that he crowds the plate. He's about a 35-inch bat. But you think you can get it in on his hands. He's very quick on the inner half of the plate. How about it? What was he, 58th round draft pick?
He was in the 60th. I believe it was 62nd round draft pick.
Signed as a favorite, and Tommy Lasorda had him drafted to Mike's father.
And they stay away, 2-2.
62nd round he was drafted in. There's a guy in the broadcast booth up here, Keith Hernandez, drafted in the late 30s. Nobody thought he would make it to the big league too.
I'd say it's safe to say that he's the greatest 62nd round pick in baseball history. And Cruz with the changeup fools Piazza badly.
Yeah, he fooled Piazza, a power hitter, and a guy who likes the fastball, just like he did Sammy Sosa when he was here with the Cubs. It's the motion and how it is delivered and what it looks and appears like. Look, it's coming at you. Looks like a fastball at 100 miles an hour, and Piazza got so far out on the front foot and it committed to the pitch. There wasn't any way to hold up on it. First strikeout for Cruz since he came into the ball game.
Cliff Floyd, a couple of doubles and a home run last night, has been held in check tonight. He walked in the first, did score. Bounced to first and also a punch out. Big swing and a miss. Wasn't close to that offering from Cruz. Breaking ball in. Seven runs on 10 hits for the Mets. No runs on 6 hits for the Rockies.
Yeah, one of the reasons that Cruz has had so much success down out of the bullpen is he's typically in the National League, you're out there for a max of 2, maybe 2 2/3 innings. So if you're getting people out, the changeup's not overexposed for a long period of time. And that's the one pitch that Cruz relies on. And he throws strikes coming out of the bullpen. People ask all the time, what's the main ingredient to be a good reliever out of your bullpen? And I think, one, you've got to have a resilient arm. And two, you've got to have a pitch that you can count on to get out of jams, because typically you've got traffic everywhere. And you've got to be able to come in and get people out of jams. And there's a reason why you get them out. Because you throw strike one and you get a hit of hitters and you don't walk people. You can't walk people coming out of the bullpen.
Now the Rockies bullpen is not throwing strike one. Just 56% of the time this year have they thrown strike one, and the league average is usually up around 60%. And the leadoff hitter against the bullpen this year hitting .346 against the Rockies. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Cliff Floyd with Cedeno at second. Hard on the ground. Helton stays with it. Cedeno goes to third. There's the second out. So Timo Perez, 1 for 2 and a walk, will take his turn.
Look at the movement on that changeup. Amazing. It's 75 miles an hour and then 76 miles an hour. It's like it's on a yo-yo with a parachute. This ball just dropped. I mean, it's just high and then all the way down to the knees of Charles Johnson.
Tell you what, in that replay, it looked like it started to move in and then move back out. It was dancing like a knuckleball. Perez turns on one and launches it a long way. Foul.
A loud strike.
Loud and long. No home runs this year for Perez. He did hit a home run in this ballpark last year. He had 8 overall. Right there's about as hard as you'll see Nelson Cruz throw the ball, about 87, 88 miles an hour.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a comfort zone for him because he still can create that good movement. When he tries to overpower anything above that, the ball just flattens out. not what you want. And you get a sinker ball pitcher, the ball starts to flatten out. If you set it on a tee, you couldn't set it on anymore. Perfect.
Yeah. Got the bat head out in front. It's pop up to Walker in right. So Cedeno led off with a double. He's stranded at third. Cruz 2 scoreless innings. Mets down a 7th spot.
From now on, long distance, local, and high-speed internet will be together. Voice and data networks for companies large and small will be together. The innovations of one of the world's largest internet providers and the simplicity of one global network will be together. Together, under one name. MCI.
Take me fishing and show me how to drive the boat.
Take me fishing, so we'll always have something in common.
Take me fishing, because my wedding will be sooner than you think.
When I look at Steve and Jenny, I just think, wow. Now there's a guy who shouldn't be getting married. You should have seen him a week ago at his bachelor party. There was dancers all around him, and he was crying, I don't want to get married, I don't want to get married. And I'm like, shut up, man, she's loaded. Because that's what's important. You know, that love.